Right, I figured before 2024 came to an end, we'd get to my long overdue PC Engine collection vid. I'll scoot up. There is quite a lot. Some you might recognise, others absolute gibberish, but I'll go through them individually, put up a bit of footage as well. It's quite the mountain. And there we go. Right, let's get on with the vid. First up, we've got ORDYNE, which is a port of a 1989, if I'm not mistaken, Namco arcade shooter. This isn't bad as a single player, but it also allows up to 5 with a multi-tap. Downtown Niketsu, River City Ransom or Street Gangs, call it what you will. There's a 2-player beat 'em up with loads of weapons. Martial Champ's a one-on-one fighter by Konami. You don't actually need the arcade card for this, despite it being an arcade port. It's another Street Fighter 2 rip-off. This is an awesome platformer. It's rock hard though. It's got great music and cutscenes and 3 switchable characters that all play different. POPULOUS, it's a great port of the strategy god sim. You'll either love it or you won't care. This is an arcade card only game. It's got massive sprites, excellent music. The loading could be better. But you know, porting this from the Neo Geo and making it playable, it's worth the wait in between the fights. JB Harold Murder Club, a point-and-click type adventure that's fully voiced, CD-ROM again. You'll be asking yourself, well, it's Japanese, but if you follow these instructions, which are somewhat complicated, you can get it all in English. So, hooray for me. Formation Soccer Human Cup. Real disappointment. I like the look of it. The trouble is, it's one of them where it's borderline impossible to score, and the computer is always going to score one more than you, even if you do score. Yeah, it's a shame. Winning Shot, a golf game that's incredibly simplistic. It's not bad, but it lacks options. It's very, very straightforward. Sim Earth. This is a Super CD-ROM, as you'd expect. A really massive game, super intricate, to the point that even I've not fully explored it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. My cup of tea. Expert Takahashi. It's Super Adventure Island, and it's the best platform game on the system. Sorry Bonk, it just is. This one's an interactive FMV horror movie with mini-games and bad acting. Pumping World, Buster Brothers or Pang in the arcade. It's a one-screen clearing Capcom classic. It's one to play with a mate. Tough as Roberto Duran's fists. It gets mocked for its horrible attempt at the background scrolling, but if you ignore that and play the bloody game, it's a gem. This is the best of the Bonk games. I mean, look at it. It looks like a box of Lego exploded and an AI was given free rein to do what it wanted with it. This is an oddity. Design a robot, hire a pilot, enter a league, add upgrades, watch your creation fight, albeit in a non-playable battle. It's a bit like a Formula 1 management game with robots. This isn't a bad port of the arcade game, and they've kept the 4-player. There's obviously better games out there now, but if you only own a turbo and you want some hockey, this is timeless, and it remains a fair price. If you like your platformers with a bunch of weapons, this is great value. Make sure you've got auto fire on both buttons, unless you're hardcore. This does everything right for me. It's got huge projectiles so you can actually see them. And respawning where you died. This is much like Gunhead or Blazing Lasers, only better. Yeah, I said it, so why don't you cry about it? And I'm sure Kanye would disagree. Bloody Wolf, which is not dissimilar to Mercs on the Mega Drive. It's a overhead style platform shooter, and it's 2-player, I think. Pretty sure it is. Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu. It's a platformer, beat 'em up, with a fair few moves. It's one of them where you press up an action and you do spin kicks and whatnot. Not a bad game at all. Nictaris, which is like an early version of Advance Wars. This is 2-player as well. Good strategy game. Volfeed is one of them games where you play as a ship. You can shoot if you collect the power up, but it's mainly about taking 75% of the screen. If you've played Kicks on the Game Boy, it's pretty much the same game. Retro Ed gave me that as a present, so cheers bud. Fire Pro's second bout, which features the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, is a not bad wrestling game. Once you master the actual clinches, it's about timing more than anything. You'll enjoy it, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to struggle. Racing Spirits Damanchi, I think it's called. This is one, I can't work out whether I'm crap at it or it's just difficult. The upcoming footage is zoomed in. What you would normally see is a split screen, and that's permanent regardless. PC GENJIN or H.S.E.U, one of the best looking games on the PC Engine. Tons of different sprites, colours all over the place. Trouble is it's overpriced and there are better shooters on the system that are way cheaper. Good example being R-Type. F1 Triple Battle. It features 3-player split screen, which is pretty novel. RoboKid, the weird world of platform meets shooter with a bunch of power-ups. It's a nice game. That's an arcade port as well, if I'm not mistaken. It was definitely on the Amiga. Vigilante, as arcade ports go, it's right on the ball. Excellent. Mr. Helly by IRM, did they ever do anything wrong? This was a gift off Retro Ed as well, so yeah, cheers again buddy. I don't know why I've kept this, it's beyond frustrating. It's a good game until the keepers ruin it. So yeah, I won't be keeping that. Power 11, the best soccer game on the system, and it's good. So yeah, if you like soccer, that's the one. Gunhead, every Turbo player's favourite shooter, in that they missed out on a ton of decent ones from Japan. The sequel to Dragon Spirit, and I prefer this for the sole reason that it is 2-player. Lost Sunheart, a lesser heard of shooter, but it's one of my favourites. Good luck trying to find it though, it took me the best part of a year. This is a watered down arcade port, but I really like this one. I must have strange taste in shooters because the ones most people like, I'm not excessively keen on. Shinobi, the music's spot on, it's missing a few stages, but that aside, great port. I'm going to do these two together, in that I don't like baseball, but these two are great, and I'd say there are a ton of baseball games on the PC Engine. Just get them two and you're sorted, and they are a hell of a lot of fun. And I believe at least one of them uses the 4-player tap, so yeah, great fun. Bomberman. It's the original Bomberman, and it's fantastic. If you've played the Amiga one, it's pretty much identical. Paranoia, a weird shooter, and you've got this little troll geezer that even flips the finger at you. My all-time favourite shooter, and this weirdly comes on two separate hue cards. You got the first part of the game on R-Type 1, and the second part, which I think is the last 4 stages, on part 2. So you need both if you want the complete game. Pac-Land, one I used to play in the arcade as a kid, and this is a very faithful port. After R-Type, I'm going to say currently that is my favourite shooter on the system. You can argue about Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, all the other ports of it. It doesn't matter to me. That is a solid port, so long as you've got a 6-button pad, and it's up there with the other two mentioned. Another must, an arcade gore 'em up. Brilliant game. If you want a break from all the shooting and fighting, yeah, nice bit of relaxing pinball. I'd say it's relaxing, but it can be quite stressful. This one I wouldn't bother with unless you've got one of these which lets you map the third button to run, otherwise you're playing it with the run button as your other rotation, whereas if you're doing it like this, you fire on that and left spin and right spin are there. So your ship, it's a hell of a lot better with that. It makes it a different game. Cybercore, not bad. If you like insects, I think you'll love it. The best arcade racer on the system, and if you like them sort of games, this is a must-have. If you like getting your ass handed to you, this is a good alternative to Outrun. It's not a bad game, it's just rock solid. Like the arcade, this is a challenge. It's also 2-player, so you can get a mate to help. A PC Engine must-have shooter, this. My main reason for buying the arcade card, I loved the coin-op as a kid, and this conversion doesn't disappoint. If you've any interest in platform action games with whips, this is the best the system has to offer. This is an all-girls one-on-one fighter. It's no Street Fighter 2, but it's not a bad imitation either, with similar gameplay and special moves. Another 2-player shooter, and like Salamander, it's a system must-have. This is way too fast. It takes some serious learning, and I'm not sure it's worth it unless you're a true F1 fan. Yeah, F1 fans only. This is a well put together golf game, and my favourite on the system. If golf games are your thing, I'm sure you'll find some fun here. Oh, and it's 4-player. This is one to master and memorise. It's not for your casual. If you've the time to invest, it's well worth the purchase, and you'd have to do some research as well. This contains the arcade game, and fortunately a much easier PC Engine mode. For a platformer, it plays oddly like a shooter. You have to look for sweet spots and learn the patterns of the enemies. This is like a cartoon series that's been thrown onto a disc. There's a bare bones fighter between unlocking the next part of the story, but it is fun. These are two solid Neo Geo arcade ports. I'd avoid Fatal Fury 2 as specials, much the same game, with more characters and way less difficult. It's got a beginner mode. If I had to pigeonhole this, it plays a fair bit like Rygar, but I think they were going for the PC Engine's version of Golden Axe. It's one of the system's best titles. This is a take on the classic FTL dungeon crawler, with a fully voiced intro story. If you like the 1988 Amiga PC original, it's more of the same. Niketsu Kunio Soccer or Nintendo's World Cup. This will allow 4 players, and it's one of the 2 soccer games on the system to own. It's a good game. Of the tennis games I've played on the system, if you want one, this was my favourite. Space Invaders. It's Space Invaders, and if memory serves me, it has a jazzed up version as well. But that's incredibly addictive. It's got that weird arcade pull despite being in the house. Fantasy Zone, Sega's colourful shooter. Again, another great port. Operation Wolf, you're not going to mimic the arcade game, but for what it is, it's not bad at all. Clax. Again, if you like the arcade, you've pretty much got it in the house.
Clax Wave.
Rastan, a good port, but people deem it shit. I actually really like it, so you know, it's probably a try before you buy. I think it's good. Practically everyone else on the planet thinks it's crap. Cloudmaster, not a cheap one, but good. It's a really souped up port of the arcade game, so in effect it's better. If you like the arcade game, then you're getting a better version of it. Puzznik, it's a sort of Tetris meets Collins puzzler. A map-based strategy game in real time. Each day progresses every 10 seconds. You've numerous objectives in the form of mini-games to complete. The game's rock solid, so if you want a slightly easier time, I'd say choose Kayomori. This is what you'd deem the system's realistic golf game. Certainly more so than Power Golf and Winning Shot. Kabuki Itu Ryu Uden, a one-on-one fighting gem. You do need the arcade card for this, and it does make use of the 6-button pad as well. You've golf, tennis, soccer and the Roll 4 player, and I'd say it's worth owning for the golf game alone. This one's a beauty. I couldn't put it down till I completed it, even when it was kicking my ass all over the place. This is a much slower paced shooter, great weapons, more of a pattern learning than a bullet dodger, and it's a firm favourite of mine. It's got infinite continues too, which are incredibly handy. I guess this would be considered the Turbo's Phantasy Star, and it's one of the better old school grindy RPGs on the system.